What's up guys, back with another Honkai Star video. In this video, I'm going to tell you why you should probably skip Sparkle. Now, I know a lot of people are going to jump me for this, probably going to have a lot of dislikes, unfortunately, that's just how it is. But I honestly think that unless you really like Sparkle, like she's one of your favorite characters, or you just straight up, like, just started the game, so you just want to summon, which, that's fair, right? A lot of people who start the game definitely don't want to save, they just want to start summoning. You know, I would recommend skipping, right? Obviously, if you're a whale, you're probably not watching this video anyway. But Sparkle, in my honest opinion, is a rather easy skip. Now, I'll tell you why. We're going to go over her kit, and then I'll explain in further detail regarding other characters. So, very quickly, let's go over Sparkle's kit. Sparkle goes off of skill points and crit damage. Her skill increases crit damage of a single target ally by 24% of her crit damage, plus 45%, meaning you're going to get a lot of crit damage. Then, at the same time, advances their action forward by 50%, and just like Bronya, you can't use it on herself. Then, her ultimate recovers 4 skill points on the team and grants allies Cypher. For all allies with Cypher, for each stack of the damage boost effect provided by Sparkle's talent, you get 10% more. Then, while Sparkle's on the battlefield, additionally increase the max number of skill points by 2. Whenever an ally consumes 1 skill point, all allies' damage dealt increases by 6%. This lasts for 2 turns and can stack up to 3 times. So basically, Sparkle's whole gimmick is give yourself more skill points. You get more damage when you use skill points. She recovers skill points when she ults, gives you more damage. And then her E gives you a lot of crit damage and then gives you kind of a jump forward in action. Not as good as Bronya's, it's only 50%, but it will help characters who are a bit slower. So, in a sense, she's like a Hanya-Bronya fusion. She helps you skill point inefficient teams and gives you some crit damage. Not a bad character, right? And then she also has her traces, which increases allies attack, and if you have quantum allies, they get more attack. Then she has crit damage boost, provided her skill will extend into a turn, and then when you use a basic attack, she gets more energy, right? Overall, this means that the main teams she wants to be run on are skill point heavy teams like Donhang and Quantum teams, but you can really use her anywhere. However, this is where this comes in, right? Also, quick side note, her light cone, if you really want the character, you don't need her light cone. Her light cone, of course, is tailor-made to her. Increases her crit damage by 30%, and then basically when you ult, you're getting a crit rate and crit damage boost by 10 and 28 respectively. This effect only lasts for 3 turns at first, but since, you know, Sparkle gets 4 skill points, every time you get 1 skill point, you get a point towards it, and then once you get all 4 points, you get the effect back. Pretty much just meaning that if you use this on Sparkle, every time you ult, you're getting the crit rate, crit damage for your team back. Pretty much tailor-made for her. However, there are many light cones that you can use instead, such as like Dance 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 to help with action advancing. You can use Planetary Rendezvous for quantum teams. You can use Bronya's light cone if you have that for the energy regeneration, and if they act next, they get more damage effect. Also, you can use the Battle Pass one. It gives you crit damage, attack, or energy regen, and she can use all 3. Well, it's for the team, but you know what I mean, right? All of those light cones work for her, right? Which can't be said for other characters. I guess I'll get into this now. Certain characters don't quite work in their path, right? Some of examples of these are Topaz and Dr. Ratio. While they do have light cones that can work for them, they are made for follow-up attacks, and unless you're using Ratios or her own, there's not a whole lot of follow-up attacks. You kind of just have to like take the bullet and grab a either more generic one or not get the full passive from it. Now, while you can get away with characters like that, future characters might not be so lucky. Luckily, Sparkle, even though she scales up crit damage, has a few options you can run because Harmony has a good variety of light cones. Destruction is a good example. You have stuff like Jinglu's crit damage when enemies, or not enemies, when allies take damage, you get, you know, stacks. Blade is HP based, Donhang is his own thing, and there's a lot of mixing and matching to where different playstyles don't work with certain light cones. And unfortunately, you know, Acheron is going to be one of those characters where The Nihility Light Cones being debuff and dot based aren't going to help her too much. She's really going to want her own light cone. And this could be the same going forward in the future. If a character has other light cones that work for them, maybe consider not going for it. While Sparkles is going to be really good, you also have to think about the fact that, especially if you're free to play, you do have to summon. And if you do lose 75%, that would really be unfortunate. But enough about the light cones, right? You're probably wondering, why shouldn't I summon for her character-wise? Now, Harmony isn't really in a bad spot for characters. We have Asta, Tingyun, Yukong, Hanya, Bronya, and Ruinmei. And unfortunately for Sparkle, Ruinmei is still better than her. I hate to say it. I know people always are like, oh, well, Sparkle's better than Bronya, and people argue Bronya can be better than Ruinmei. No. Ruinmei is just better. She is just super insane. Sparkle will be better on probably only Don Hang's team. I know she's tailor-made for Quantum, and you're probably going to be like, oh, well, what about Zele, Fushuan, Sparkle, Silverwolf, or QQ, or, I almost want to say Hanya, Jue, right? Ruinmei still has, like, her whole kit of, like, dual DPS enabler, weakness, efficiency, breaking, damage, speed. Like, Ruinmei just does too much for everybody, and Sparkle, I mean, if her E was AoE, I'd be like, okay, maybe there's an argument, but it's not. She also doesn't cleanse, so Bronya will be the better alternative in teams that might want to cleanse, or fighting a boss that you need to cleanse from, such as the Beetle, giving you the Quantum weakness break effect, or someone like if you're fighting the Cocolia boss, she freezes you, stuff like that, right? So Bronya will still have a lot of uses. Plus, Bronya's action advance is still 100%, which that's not to be slept on. Then you have stuff like Hanya for skill points. People use Yukong all the time. Tingyun for energy, Asa for speed. You have all these options, and you're not really in need of Sparkle, especially if you have Ruinmei and Bronya. Unless you really like Sparkle, you can skip her. Now, another main reason for not spinning on Sparkle is because the next couple banners are going to be Acheron and Adventurine, right? And Adventurine, let's click off of this real quick, is the first, well, not first, but the second preservation 5-star character. Now, I regard Fushuan as the best character in the game because of how much survivability she has. So, Adventurine has a tough act to follow, but considering, if you know, you know, and the fact that Adventurine and Acheron are the first anniversary characters, as I believe the anniversary should start a little bit into Adventurine's banner, but you know how Genshin was, they had Kokomi and Raiden Shogun. They were like, okay, Raiden Shogun's technically the anniversary. That's what the community pretty much said. But they're both extremely good characters. Kokomi, even though she was hated, she was such a good healer, right? I wish I grabbed her when I still played. And then Raiden was an insanely busted character. She's probably still broken to this day, even though I don't play anymore. So, Adventurine and Acheron are pretty much going to be that equivalent of just absolutely broken. And since Adventurine is a shield character, right? And we haven't had a shield character since Jeopard. And while I love Jeopard, he has his issues. He can't apply a shield unless he's ult. Adventurine is going to be pretty nasty for survivability. And Acheron being, nihility. Like, let's not kid ourselves. If you've seen anything on Acheron, you know she's probably going to be by far the best DPS. Jingliu has some competition. Obviously, we have to wait until she officially drops. But, if you know kind of thing, right? Let's not talk about that too much more. So you have two insanely high value banners coming up. One of them being a really good DPS, which you can get by without it, right? But, a lot of people like the new fancy, awesome DPS, and Adventuring being very good for survivability. In fact, being a shield character, being one of there's 3 other ones. March 7th doesn't have an AoE shield. MC, their shield is basically non-existent, and Jeopard doesn't have it consistently. Adventurine is going to be a very high-valued character for people who don't have good sustains. So that brings us back to Harmony, right? Like I said, Harmony is really not hurting for a character. Even if you only have the 4 stars, you can make the 4 stars work pretty well. And Bronya is a 300 selection character, so you will eventually be able to get her. And I recommend getting her unless you really like another character, and that's why you don't have her. Plus, with Anniversary coming up, we could see the arrival of a 5-star ticket. Not saying it's 100% guaranteed, but there is a possibility. So Sparkle kind of gets knocked down a few pegs, unfortunately, since there are so many options. She's still going to be extremely good, but especially for low spenders or free to play players who can't get every character, she has just like, there's just too much, right? There's just too much. You gotta think about that. If you pull for Sparkle and her light cone, you're probably not going to be able to get the next 2 characters just with free currency unless you get rather lucky. Obviously, if you're lucky, you can get every single character and just be absolutely fine. But Sparkle doesn't have enough oomph in her kit to really justify not getting any character for a while, or justify kicking off other top tiers. Like if you already have Runeway and Bronya, I mean, I already have them, and I love Sparkle, but I'd really only run her with Quantum or Donhang. Otherwise, I'm just okay with using Bronya or Ruin Mei. So, since she's not a direct upgrade or a huge spike in, you know, sort of usability, I think she is a rather easy skip. Now, of course, this is all considering that if you don't like Sparkle, it's really easy to skip, or you have these characters. So do keep that in mind. If you really like Sparkle, summon for who you like, right? If you really like her light code, go ahead and pull it, right? But I'm just trying to help you get a better idea of if you're on the verge of should I summon or should I not summon. Me personally, I really like Sparkle's design, and I was going to summon when I first saw her, but you know, Acheron, she's just, you know, she's cool. I want Acheron, and I'm really liking the Penacony characters. Robin, Firefly, Sam. There's just too much, and Sparkle, unfortunately, just didn't hit it for me, so she's going to have to get skipped. But other than that, let me know in the comments what your plan is. If you're going to go for the light cone, if you're going to go for the character, if you're skipping, let me know what you're skipping for. Is it going to be Aventurine or Acheron, or are you going to wait until a future character releases? Maybe someone from the Annihilation Gang, maybe like Sunday, Robin. Let me know in the comments, and of course, don't forget to like, subscribe. As always, thanks for watching.